Joaquin Niemann wins for the 5th time on the Live Golf Tour. And I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point? Probably, maybe 10. So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry's our guy who sends me live stats every week.
I love that you get live stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey coming off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So, and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kevon Looney off the bench. So, to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly, Pelican! 7-1. Fly, Pelican. Fly, Pelican, fly. 7-1. What's the...
Here's why JY is great, because sometimes I almost, it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY's going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? Whoa, I don't remember that one, JY.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I drafted Aaron Jones in my Dynasty League, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a Dynasty League, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 11.38. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50% not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets, I'll take the over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Time to rise and grind right here on the SportsGrid Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. It's time for the early line, and you know the drill. It's a Monday, it's new week, it's new money. The next 2 hours, we got you covered on everything across the sports landscape to get you caught up on what happened this weekend, and also get those binoculars out to take a look at what is going to happen this week, which includes a full slate of NFL preseason action, updates in Major League Baseball, key races as they head down the stretch, because now that we're in August, it is football season. Also, it's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. It's college football on August the 23rd. We got live bullets flying this month in 3 weeks, Joe. It's a big time in the sports calendar. It's time to get after it, and it's a new week. It's new money, and we're right here on the SportsGrid Network.
Better known as Monday Fun Day here, Donnie, as we're coming out of our first weekend in August. So before we know it, it'll be all about football, or it'll be all about throwing up watching the Yankees play, one or the other.
The Yankees. Look at that. Did I see close to 100? There were over 100,000 people down in South Florida. All Yankees fans get swept out of town. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get to that and much, much more this morning. But as we talk about new week, new money, Joe, that doesn't always mean like, okay, let's see what we can do handicapping-wise and put some money in our pocket. Sometimes with professional athletes saying, it is a new week, and I'm waiting on my new money. Let's head to Buffalo here in the 7-7, the hottest sports topics across the landscape here. Mr. Cook, sitting out now in practice. Why? Just business, Joe. That's all it is.
It really is, Donnie. I mean, listen, the guy has done everything right to this point, except for yesterday. I mean, he basically told, he showed up to camp. He practiced, the first 8 days of camp. He was also very positive, saying, listen, this deal is going to get done. But, I mean, how many more times are you going to expose yourself as we get later into camp and the hitting and everything else? How many more times are you going to expose yourself before you go, and you know what? Until I get a deal, I can't risk this.
And also, he's a running back. And sometimes you have to say, you think you're close, right, on the deal. Mm-hmm. Let me go to camp. I can't afford to get fined $50,000, but I'm going to show him how integral I am to this football team. And eventually this is going to get worked out. And then there must have been an impasse between his agent and the Buffalo Bills that said, we're just too far right now. So the next level is, all right, do I keep practicing? Where they go, yeah, he's going to end up playing anyway. Why do we even have to give him a new deal at all? Or now you sit out and cause that distraction, which no team wants heading into their season. We'll see if things work out in the right direction here for James Cook. He's needed in that Buffalo backfield. They're supposed to have a great season. Get everybody on board right away. We'll see if that works itself out. But he's not practicing because why? He's standing on business. You know what else was standing on business? A lot of people in the stands at Bristol Speedway this weekend. And what a shame it was for Major League Baseball where they had that crown jewel on Saturday, and it basically got rained out. But it did finish yesterday in the MLB Speedway Classic, a 4-2 victory for the Atlanta Braves over the Cincinnati Reds.
Not nearly as many people in the stands yesterday as there were Saturday trying to buck through the rain there. But yeah, apparently Major League Baseball didn't coordinate with Mother Nature because she wasn't having any of it on Saturday. I mean, that wasn't just rain, Donnie. That was like end of times rain. That was like, I was waiting for the cicadas to come out. I was like, these poor, and they weren't, the fact that they even got one inning in is kind of crazy to me that you would have allowed these guys to go out there in those conditions, knowing it wasn't going to stop raining, just so you can get an inning in and come back Sunday anyway. It was, but it turned out to be a pretty good game in the end. Finished up yesterday with the Braves winning. But why do you even start that game on Saturday, Donnie? Why?
Money. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Absolute money where they said, we are going to play this at all costs. If you remember going back when the Phillies won the World Series against the Tampa Bay Rays, do you remember that convincing game where they played in an absolute, looked like a torrential rainstorm that paused the game for a day and a half before they got back to it? Why did they let the Tampa Bay Rays tie it up? They weren't going to call the game in the World Series. It's like, hey, there's too much money on the line. Woo! The Rays scored a run, and they were able to get that game in the a day and a half later. Same thing there. That's all it was, money. A lot of people in the stands. Yeah. Let's pray that it stops raining. If it does at all, we'll certainly be able to press it down and get an inning in, which they did. Then they played on Sunday. They ran out of everything but beer and peanuts here. So a lot of discrepancies there as always. But how about these discrepancies? In South, nobody goes to watch the Marlins play. Did you see the record attendance? 101,000 people there. And probably 100,000 of those were Yankee fans. You know what they were treated to? A sweep by the Marlins. Unbelievable here. Booney, we're on Booney watch now.
Yeah, well, it's just terrible. Watching this team play gives me agita. It truly does. And not because they're not loaded with talent, Donnie, but they got to have some of the stupidest players I have ever seen in one clubhouse in my entire life. And the worst part is, when they're interviewed afterwards and say, so how do you get, doubled up in an infield fly from first base? How does that happen? And his answer was, yeah, well, if I had a chance to do it again, I would do it again in that situation because I was trying to make him, think about what? Picking you off? Like, I don't understand it. Where is the leadership in this locker room? Because I don't see it. And apparently, it's not Aaron Judge because he's with the team. So I don't know what to tell you about what's happening here with the New York Yankees.
Yep, and I'll tell you what's happening here with the Boston Red Sox. They're trying to climb in those standings to get after the New York Yankees, which they've already passed up, and now trying to focus there on the Toronto Blue Jays. As David Ortiz once said on an ESPN commercial, hey, Wally, it's not what you think. Yeah, it is what you think. 6-1 victory yesterday for the Boston Red Sox. They sweep the Astros right out of town, which used a huge bottom of the fourth inning where they played at 6 runs against Framber Valdez. Wow, people, here come the Sox.
Great weekend. Just poor performance by the Astros. I mean, they got Jeremy Pena back in that lineup. Correa, you really thought this was going to be a good opportunity for them to kind of impose their will. They couldn't even win when Hunter Brown or Framber Valdez pitched in this series. Donnie, think about that, which is kind of crazy. The two aces, the stoppers, couldn't get it done because, once again, the offense has let the Astros down. But a great weekend for the Boston Red Sox.
No, it certainly was. How about this for the Brewers? Even though Mizorowski did not start yesterday, they actually blew out the Washington Nationals. They continue their first-place surge. And it says here the right-hander took a liner off the shin last week from Seiya Suzuki in the first inning of his start on Monday. Later in that inning, after fielding a dribbler on the mound, Mizorowski's knee buckled as he threw wildly to first and second here, for the runners on first and second. So here we go. Yesterday was supposed to start that game, placed on the IL for 15 days. Hey, calm it down. You need this kid. You're still winning baseball games. Probably taking more of a precaution here for Mizorowski.
And the crazy part is they roll out another young guy in Logan Henderson, and he looks just as lethal as Mizorowski was yesterday for the Brewers. So you lose one tremendous talent, one young arm, and you get another one in there who delivers on the spot for them. again. Well, it's kind of easy when your team keeps scoring 10 and 12 runs a game, but really, really unfortunate. I hope it's nothing long term, but I hope he'll be back for at least a run here in the postseason.
Yeah, big guy, throws hard, need him down the stretch. Brewers playing great baseball, scoring a ton of runs as well, something we usually don't equate the Brewers offense to, but they're getting it done. Talk about getting it done on the PGA Tour. Cam Young, 22 under par, takes the total. How about that? Winner this weekend, Cam Young. Did you bet any Cam Young action at the Wyndham?
Yeah,
No,
what was
maybe
that?
not.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Oh, what? No, listen. This poor guy has been through absolute hell, Donnie. I mean, this is a guy that has had multiple opportunities to win multiple tournaments, and he always finishes second. And this was the first tournament where it was never really in doubt, and he gets his first win. Now we're talking Ryder Cup team representing America. One win turns the fortunes of a guy like Cameron Young.
The WNBA had a lot of action yesterday, which included the Liberty downing the Sun, the Dream 99-83 over the Mystics. How about the Fever? Without Caitlin Clark, another victory, improving to 17-12 in the season after a 78-74 victory over the Storm. The Mercury 83-67 over the Sky, and the Aces, after getting absolutely destroyed, come back and destroy the Valkyries here. A little WNBA action on a Sunday for you, Joe.
Yeah, 5 in a row without Caitlin Clark. Dare I say Caitlin who? Like, my goodness, Donnie. Impressive.
I mean, put her on the blocks right now. Don't need her at all, man. They are winning basketball games left and right. Business time, baby. Micah Parsons. Cook. What's happening? Find out next right here on the early line.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13 for, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Rolling along on the early line here, action-packed and a lot of fun, and I just would like to say, it is new week, new money. We're trying to get new week, new money here from Micah Parsons and how much money he is actually going to make. It's the endless saga right now in Dallas as they're in training camp. Let's hear from Jerry Jones on this saga.
So there's always negotiation, and the negotiation is to put the best team on the field. And it's many times it's not even a question of deserving. And in today's salary cap, you've got to have either or. You can't have it all. And so all those things go into the, so to speak, the equation. And the art of the deal is to get the best players out there for the resources that you have under the cap. And so that's what we're doing. That's what this is all about. But I'm here. I do what I do. I love these guys. Frankly, I could be any place in the world. And I want to be right here. I want to be right here with Camp. I enjoy these players. I enjoy Micah. But as always, in any relationships, there are different moods at different times of your relationship. That's what it is. Don't lose any sleep over it.
So just to be
That's the
clear,
one thing I would say to our fans. Don't lose any sleep over it.
Joe, here's what I need to know about what Jerry was just rambling on about. Can he just admit that he is a wonderful business person? Look at all the wealth that he's accumulated over his life, right? But then we have to say to ourselves, Jerry, can you just admit you are horrible at being a GM? You are one of the worst general managers we've ever seen in this sport, because you're talking about you need resources and salary cap. When one of these, reporters should have just said, Jerry, if you signed him 2 years ago, you'd make a lot more money on the field to put more players on the field. The same thing with Dak Prescott. Why do you wait so long to sign these guys and then try to say, well, we can't sign everybody because they make too much money? Help me out, Joe. What is Jerry talking about in that clip right there?
But listen, Jerry is so in his element with this. We see it year after year. I mean, honestly, Donnie, he loves this kind of situation here, this back and forth, this negotiating. He did it last year with CeeDee Lamb. Remember, when is CeeDee getting the contract? When is CeeDee? You talked about Ezekiel. He does this all the time to players that aren't just a small part of the team, like his best players who are due for huge paydays. This is what he does, eventually hoping that they'll break down, take less money, and because he wants to be with his teammates. It's just, this is Jerry's element. And this is not a field I think Micah Parsons wants to play on. But you know what? Not going to have a choice here, ultimately. Otherwise, the only one who's going to be losing money if he doesn't show up is Micah Parsons.
The crazy part about this, too, is like Micah has been the good guy all along, always happy, always talking, wants to be with his guys, and understanding his next paycheck is going to be the most lucrative defensive paycheck in the history of the NFL. It's almost like, Micah, you wish you were just an NBA player, because it's just automatic. Once you are due for a contract within 2 hours of you are ready for that contract, you get it delivered, top of the line, no negotiations, this is what you get. And the fact of the matter is that we've been waiting so long, forget about even like last year, he could have got an extension. Let's just fast forward to this all season where Jerry and Micah sat down in like March. Yeah, we got everything worked out here. It's pretty much at the end of the rope. We're going to sign this deal. And then Jerry started saying things like, well, I don't even know who his agent is at this point. And, well, I thought we had a deal done. And Mike is telling you through his podcast, like, no, I have an agent. I'm not going to agree to a deal when it's Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones and my agent isn't there. It has to get run through those proper channels at this point. And then understanding that while days wait here, Joe, the price of the brick goes up every single day. You saw unbelievable contracts for pass rushers come through where maybe you could have got an even better deal in March. And now Mike is going like, you think that deal in March that we semi-agreed to is still valid today when guys like, Myles Garrett went through and, TJ Watt got their deals done? Like, no, that deal is gone. I want even more money now just because of the hassle of what you're putting me through. So let me ask you this question as we sit out there in Oxnard, California, where Jerry goes, I could be anywhere in the world. Yeah, you're in Oxnard. That's exactly where you're at. Does this deal get done immediately, or does Jerry just play this out like, this is such good news, man. I don't have to pay for any publicity. We lead every single telecast, SportsGrid, ESPN, NFL Network. I love this stuff.
Again, it's his element, man. He sat in front of that camera for 16 minutes talking about just rambling back and forth when he knows full well what his intentions are. He already knows how this is going to play out. He's just going to make it so it's all about Jerry and the Cowboys and top of mind. If nobody's talking about you, does anybody really care, right, Donnie? That's always been Jerry. Whether they're good or not good, he's going to make sure the Cowboys are top of mind and getting the headlines. And you know what? He's doing it again here right now before we even get before they play one preseason game. Oh, and by the way, this is all happening with a new coach for the Cowboys, whose best defensive player is in total turmoil with the owner right now. It's hilarious here. It's so Jerry. But again, miraculously, he'll ride in last minute just before it really is, push comes to shove and come up with a deal. And he'll be like, see, I told you, don't lose any sleep over it.
It's not a badge of honor for a GM/owner to reset the market every time he has to sign one of his good players. That's just a sign of stupidity at this point. If you would have signed Micah earlier and you signed Dak Prescott earlier, we don't have to have these conversations with Jerry Jones where he goes like, well, if we sign him too much money, we don't have enough for the rest of the team. You'd have plenty for the rest of the team if you sign them earlier. That's the whole point and the whole concept that we're trying to get through to Jerry Jones. But he's the owner, and whether or not he signs, Micah Parsons or who else, they're still going to make a ton of money being the biggest brand in the world for the Dallas Cowboys. But when you take a look at Micah Parsons, he's deserved this year. 4 seasons, 4 Pro Bowls, 3 times in All-Pro, 52.5 sacks. He's not Joel Embiid where you say, wow, that guy's really good, but maybe he only has a year left because his knees are bad. This guy's in his prime. Just get him paid, Joe.
Yeah, 27 years old. And again, you're crazy to think that Jerry doesn't know how this ends already. Like, Jerry is just pushing the envelope, kicking it down the road. He will eventually pay this man, and all will go away, and we'll laugh and be like, remember? Yeah, he did it to CeeDee Lamb, did it to Dak. This is how Jerry operates. It's kind of old at this point.
No doubt about it. In the next segment, Joe, we're going to touch on the Dallas Cowboys and what it could mean if Micah Parsons isn't there at the beginning of the season, and also double down on James Cook here getting his money, and then take a look at the Hall of Fame. New induction just been in this weekend, right here on the Early Line.
Need help with your NFL picks? Get NFL insider knowledge from Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden injury advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, player props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Get a free week now with promo code SportsGrid at SickScore.com.
He's just only 2,300 points behind. So even if he does win at Memphis, he's still going to be behind Scottie Scheffler in the points by 300. So why? I mean, I want Scottie Scheffler to show up in Memphis, but does he need to? If Rory's not showing up and the third place guy, even if he wins, isn't going to pass him?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Big Fish is the best player in the WNBA. She is running away with the MVP award. Why is that? Caitlin Clark injured. Asia Wilson not playing at Asia Wilson level, but it's more about the fact about what's around her has been an issue. So to me, Fish is almost like the MVP because everyone else has gone down in some way, shape, or form.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Micah Parsons, I think we can agree, Joe. Let's start here because I just want to get a quick answer from you. Micah Parsons will not be traded. Is that correct?
Oh, no, definitely not traded. He's got no, yeah, okay. This is the problem, though, right? Where is the leverage? You're going to sit out, and then what, Donnie? Then what?
Yeah, then what is, hey, I just want to make more money and I'm going to get $20 million. He's going to be in camp. They're going to sign him to the biggest deal we've ever seen for a defensive player. We just don't know the timeline. There's no need for this charade, but that's the way the Dallas Cowboys operate. So what I want to ask you this is, let's just say the rubber meets the road and they get real angry with each other and he doesn't show up for the first game. How embarrassing would that be for Jerry Jones? Opening night in Philadelphia, banner drop here, and the biggest story is not the Philadelphia Eagles got their rings and they're going to see the trophy before we kick off the NFL season, but that Micah Parsons, his crown jewel, is not in the building to try to help them out, and then the Eagles wipe the floor with them right away. But if we do see that scenario wind up, how are we feeling about the Dallas Cowboys? Let's just say he sits out the first game for 4 games of the season before he gets signed. How are we feeling now, Joe, about the Dallas Cowboys?
Business as usual, Don, is what it feels like to me with this whole thing. He's never going to get, I mean, listen, Jerry knows if he truly wanted to trade him, he could get back a ridiculous haul for him, right? Especially at this point. But that's the leverage have. He also knows that, all right, you're not going to show up. You're going to forfeit the money this year, right? And what are you going to take a year off? You know you're going to be worth less money a year away from the game than anything else, Donnie. So in all likelihood, this is just Jerry being Jerry because he figures he's going to get the best deal done the longer that this goes and the more he is itching to get out on the field. It's a timing issue with Jerry. It always is. And he's done this with every star that came up for a contract that he's had over the last couple of decades. So I'm telling you right now, it will be in the 23rd hour, right before kickoff, the week of the first game, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, see, I told you don't lose sleep over it. It's all good.
And the worst part about it is, too, it's like, you know, when you have a beautiful car, let's just say like a Ferrari, and it's so expensive, there's only, you know, a minimum amount of people that can actually buy that car. Whereas you say, hey, you know, I got a nice Toyota Corolla here. It's got 30,000 miles on it. It's a little bit older. You might have a lot of people bidding for that car. Why I'm bringing that up is it's easy to say I want a trade. But what is fair market value for Micah Parsons for the Cowboys? Okay, an NFL team, Joe, 3 first-round picks, and then you're going to pay this guy more money than anybody's ever seen on the defensive side? Like, it's almost like saying, like, yes, everybody would love Micah, but nobody's paying that price for Micah Parsons, what fair market value would be in a trade.
Yeah. A boatload, you know, a resetting of the franchise kind of boatload is what you get. These kind of position players heading into their prime at the end of a 50-year rookie deal, they don't come available, Donnie. This is, you know, it just does not happen. It's like, oh, well, you know, Joe Burrow is not going to, I mean, the kinds of guys that have gone to this point with other teams, they don't leave the organization. Like the organization realizes we've got a franchise dude here. We're going to pay him, but we're not going to make it easy for him. They never, ever, ever do. But you could reset this franchise if you truly wanted to do it.
Yeah, and by the way, like you never want to lose your great players. But if there was a world where you can make a Madden trade and get 3 ones from, I don't know, the New York Jets and not pay all that money, you're probably better off. But it's hard for the fan base to swallow. We just got rid of Micah Parsons in his prime because our owner was such a buffoon and didn't sign him 2 years earlier when he could have been much more affordable and we could have enjoyed him through his prime years. It just happens. Other business in the NFL that we touched on in the 7-7, James Cook, Buffalo Bills, great season last year. Running backs got to capitalize, got to make that money when he can. Other running backs are getting second contracts on top of those big contracts that we saw last year. That's Derrick Henry. And of course, you know the drill in Philadelphia with Saquon Barkley. James Cook showed up to camp. He just wants his money. They were close to an agreement. It felt like not anymore. Business decisions being made now for James Cook on, I'm not hurting myself when I'm up for a contract right now. I'll sit this one out until you pay me what I'm worth.
Yeah, listen, he's done everything right to this point, but you also had to figure if he doesn't have a contract after 8 days of practice heading into your first preseason game where you got to throw the pads on and you're getting risk of injury goes through the roof, you got to make a business decision, Donnie. I don't fault the player in this in any way, shape, or form. He's done everything right to this point and still is waiting for the Bills to show up and give him a contract here, which I think we can all agree he's probably worth it.
I mean, more than any other position, Joe, right? Like a running back, like that is probably the most interesting position to try to pay because, you know, at any moment an injury is around the corner. The fact that they fall off a cliff immediately once they're down. Get your money, James Cook. We're going to talk NFL Hall of Fame next. Who's in? Next.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirates team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We talked about the Hall of Fame preseason game last week. It was a big deal. Why? Because the NFL was back in our lives for the first preseason game. And Joe Ranieri, we got a full slate of preseason action coming up this week. I believe we got Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. Fantastic. At least something that we can watch. And your favorite team will be playing, so you can check out some of those rookies here because, of course, not a lot of starters are going to play. But I have to tell you one thing. Let me ask you this, because we usually do the, ask the public a question and say, fade the public or not. This class that went in, which is, again, you make the Hall of Fame, you are an unbelievable football player. Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp, well deserving of going in. But is there a class that might have been more boring than this class that I don't think I tuned in or even saw a highlight clip of the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony? Great players. Eric Allen was an Eagle. I didn't care that any of these guys went in, Joe. Did you watch any of this at all?
Well, the Sterling Sharp, his introduction and his speech stole the show of the thing. He brings up his brother Shannon, and I mean, there wasn't a dry eye in the house there. It was maybe
Wow.
the most clippable moment there is. I mean, everybody in the stand was crying. It was a pretty emotional moment with both of them. And even though his brother's going through all sorts of negative publicity, he still brought him up there, and they embraced, and he told the story about how they grew up in rural Georgia. It was, that's the kind of stuff that will make this introduction, this class, Donnie, to your point, it not a lot. I mean, four of the greatest to ever play the game and lace them up, but there was only one induction here that really had the needle moving, and that was Sterling Sharp in his speech.
Skilp. Did we get any of those there from Shannon Sharp at that point? And by the way, Sterling Sharp, like we sometimes predate ourselves, and Sterling Sharp is not that old, but this guy was so unbelievable for Green Bay. And I always remember, like, later in his career, he had the neck issues, which is why he had to retire. He had like the 6 like straps on the back of his helmet just so his helmet couldn't go lower to force the neck down to have any more injuries. But if that guy had a complete, let's just say, career in the NFL, who knows what statistics Sterling Sharp should have put up.
Donnie, people don't even, I mean, I remember the hit that did it to him and ended, I mean, he retired when he was 29 because the only other option was, you know, they were carting him. He wouldn't have walked off the field. It could have been dead. I mean, but at that point, up to that point, people don't realize him and Jerry Rice at that point, he was putting up Jerry Rice numbers. And if he would have played another 4 or 5 years, he'd be ridiculous, especially with Brett Favre throwing him the ball. So people don't realize that Jerry Rice and Sterling Sharp at that time were in the same conversation, number 1 and number 2, Donnie, and people forget that.
Yeah, just a few short years later, what happens there in Green Bay? That Renaissance Reggie White comes to town. Brett Favre is there. They win a Super Bowl. He would have been a part of that team that picked up a Super Bowl easily there. He was that good of a wide receiver. But always, we sort of flip that page and say, well, what's next for the NFL? You got a pretty good class coming up here of the first-time guys that are on that ballot with a chance to go to the Hall of Fame. Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Larry Fitzgerald, Jason Witten, Frank Gore, and Julian Edelman. Now, I saw this list when it got put out. And immediately I said to myself, well, no doubt in my mind, Joe, Drew Brees is going to get in, and also Larry Fitzgerald. There's no argument. They're first ballot Hall of Famers. I don't even like Drew Brees, but I got to respect those numbers that he put up. Super Bowl champion, he's in. But I had to do some work, like just going back over some of the stats on some of these players. There's a few also on here that I don't know how you can argue against, like Frank Gore, 3rd all-time in rushing yards. Jason Witten, 2nd all-time in receiving yards for a tight end. This is a great class. And Phillip Rivers, who threw for a ton of yards and a ton of touchdowns here. We might get a lot of guys in here.
This could be a huge class, except for Julian Edelman. Like, why is he even on the list at this point? Like, stop that. Like, just erase his name there. He's not even in the conversation with the guys that are on that list with him, including Larry Fitzgerald, where what if he actually would have played on a team that was, run with, a quality organization, quality ownership, right on down, what he could have been in the right spot there, but still managed to be the best, one of the best that ever played the game. And he did it the right way. But I mean, Gore was just, if nothing else, I mean, there should be a patch for longevity for playing as many years in that position as he did to rack up that many yards. I mean, how do you not all of these guys are going to be in the Hall of Fame? I guess the question is, are they first ballot? These are first-time eligible guys. Did they all get in?
Yeah, you can't, because to me, on the outset, it should be an answer right away. Are you in or are you out? And I looked at it again, said those first 2 guys, and I said, well, how do you leave out like the guy who's in the top 5 in rushing all time when other guys down the list are in? Like Jason Witten was always there each and every week. Was he a dynamic player? Not necessarily, but look at the statistics and the touchdowns he put up. You're going to leave, the second best tight end in NFL history based on receiving yardage. He's not going to make the Hall of Fame. So it feels like a lot of these players certainly are going to go in, no doubt about it at that point. You know what I'm only upset with here? That Frank Gore didn't do a LeBron James and play long enough so his son could play with him in the NFL, Joe. That could have happened. He could have done it.
Yeah. I believe when his son came out of college and was drafted, I believe Gore was even kicking that around. There was a conversation of him maybe even signing a contract and trying to get back in there so we could actually see that happen. But that position, when you think about it, that position for as long as he played it at the level he played it, teams were going out looking for him in the backfield there to be a part of their teams in depth and to help because he could still perform. That's very, very unique in this day and age in the NFL.
Certainly is. We'll see when the Hall of Fame gets up next year and how many of these players will certainly go in. We had a Hall of Fame type game that we were trying to figure out in Major League Baseball, Joe. That was the MLB Speedway Classic. Took place on Saturday night, at least we thought, and then it actually ended up being played on Sunday. Let's just go over the whole scenario because I was excited to see how this was going to play out. If anybody ever sees Bristol Speedway, it literally looks like from the outside an NFL stadium. And then you go inside it, they built a baseball field in the middle of a track. And I thought it looked fantastic here. You had all the pomp and circumstance and the pageantry and the players going around the track, getting introduced to the crowd. You had the opening ceremonies with a national anthem and a couple performers here that came out, which included Pitbull. You had a record crowd on hand, and boy, they got some bad weather here. And as I was watching that telecast, they interviewed, I think, every single fan in the ballpark just to try to kill some time. Ended up forcing roughly an inning on Saturday night and completing it on Sunday. Talk to me about the whole program itself, because I like the idea. But boy, oh boy, they got hit with the worst case scenario on Saturday, Joe.
And I'm watching it on Saturday night. I'm like, I couldn't believe they took the field. There was literally a lake between shortstop and third base, and they're actually. I'm going, what? I remember playing like Little League games in that kind of thing where don't run through the water because, like, why are we playing? Why even try and start it? You had to delay it as it is. We lost Strider because of it. So the starting pitchers that we were supposed to get, Donnie, we couldn't get because they had to, everyone warmed up and then it was like, no, we can't do this. But ultimately, it actually turned out to be a pretty good game yesterday in conclusion that ended when the right fielder for the Braves robs a home run, a 2-run home run that would have tied it, but dropped the ball in the process of doing it. So it turned out to be a pretty good ending for Major League Baseball. But I got to tell you, it was pretty unique. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, no, I like the atmosphere. And by the way, you're right about that because the total on Saturday was 8 runs. Yeah. Let's just say you had that and they kept it, because I'm going to tell you a story about like using Bet365. Different outlets have different house rules there. But one more foot, that's 4-4, and you hit that over. But for me, I bet on Bet365 on Saturday night. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this 8 because why? Terry Francona is getting interviewed going like, I don't even know if Chase Burns is going to start. So like, oh my goodness, if Burns isn't going to start or even pitch long, that means Strider won't do the same. I'm going to get a bullpen game for 9 innings with a total of 8. That probably should be 9.5 or 10. And look at that. And it ended up 4-2, but I got a refund on Saturday night, which would have been a loser. So, hey, got my money back, and it's just the way it is. More Major League Baseball talk next, which includes the Big Miz. How long is he going to be out for the Blue Crew?
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies is one of 3 Major League Baseball pitchers to have a 7-start span featuring an undefeated record, a sub-1.5 ERA, 50 or more innings pitched, 50 or more strikeouts, fewer than 5 walks, no more than 1 home run allowed.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Injuries, Joe Ranieri, you never want to see them here in Major League Baseball, the NFL, any professional sports anywhere in kind. But we got a big update yesterday. We were doing the Pro Baseball Today show, Joe, and we got a live update where we were expecting Mizorowski to start for the Milwaukee Brewers, only to find out that he would be placed on the 15-day IL with a left tibia contusion. Now, it doesn't sound all that bad, but we always see the term sometimes like a bone bruise, and it keeps players out for weeks at a time. Usually in a career, specifically young and just getting started for Jacob Mizorowski, you don't want to press things down. You're not in a race right now. It's like, oh my goodness, if we lose the next 2 starts that he has where he's supposed to start, we can't make the playoffs. The Brewers are in a great spot right now. They shut him down for 15 days, but I'm waiting just to see how much this injury is going to affect him, because typically with pitchers, Joe, right? It's like, all right, well, you build up to your next start. If you have a left tibia contusion, how much throwing are you actually doing here, and when can you build them back up? Because I remember, hey, we're going through 50 pitches, 60 pitches, 70 pitches. This is going to set him back a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's the worst case scenario, which would have been a knee issue, but it does sort of cause a little bit of concern here for the Brewers.
It does, but they did get a chance to talk to him yesterday after the announcement, and it sounds like he told reporters that he hopes just to miss the next couple of starts, and once these 15 days are up, he is planning or hopes to be back, when that would be tremendous news. But again, the Brewers ended up promoting another rookie in Logan Henderson, who we've seen, sparingly here. We thought we'd actually might get Mizorowski before Henderson this year, but Henderson was up before Mizorowski was. They sent him back down, but my goodness, this kid was lights out yesterday. And these are 2 rookies that they have. So if you're going to replace Mizorowski for the next 2 weeks with Logan Henderson, I don't think they skip a beat, Donnie. I really don't.
By the way, we talk about CLV a lot here. Like, hey, it's better to, get CLV and lose the bet than have a bad bet that actually wins and you get plus money. I understand that. Nobody ever will. But yesterday on the Pro Baseball Today show, before the show started, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a flyer on, Brad Lord and the Washington Nationals going up against Big Miz. Big Miz gets knocked down like, whoa, CLV in my pocket by like 30 or 40 cents. They got hammered yesterday. Big Miz or no Big Miz, no, there was no way that the Nationals were winning yesterday. But also understand this. Like, you see the statistics here. 7 starts, 4-1 record, 2.70 ERA, 47 Ks. He was making a charge here to be the NL Rookie of the Year in 2025. Now, when you get an injury as a pitcher where you're down automatically the next 2 weeks, maybe we don't see him on the mound for 2.5 weeks. That's going to put a crimp there in the overall pricing market. And if you had a bet on Miz, that's going to be dropping. He's down to 15-1 at some outlets here to win the NL Rookie of the Year. But how about the favorite right now? It's Drake Baldwin of the Atlanta Braves, and I agree with it. The Braves are done on the season. This kid's going to get a ton of at-bats, and he's talented here. Yep. Agustin Ramirez of the Marlins at a 6-1 price. Isaac Collins there of the Brewers at a 6-1 price. Chase Burns, power pitcher, 33-1. But I do agree that Drake Baldwin has the chance to shine in August and September, and rightfully so now as the favorite here in the NL.
Well, Ramirez of the Marlins is making a pretty good run at this as well. I would not sleep here with the way this team is hitting and the way he has performed here. I think at that price too, that's worth the shot. Now don't forget, Mizorowski was the odds-on favorite a couple of weeks ago, right after the All-Star game.
Yep.
Everybody was, it's given. Well, just because there's a minus next to the number there doesn't necessarily mean it's a foregone conclusion here. I think that's going to be an interesting race. And what happened if Mizorowski just misses 2 starts and comes back?
Correct,
Donnie, and he's just as good. What happens then?
See, now you're reading my mind, because look at this perfect segue I'm going to give you right now, because that's the question I wanted to ask. Where is the value on the Big Miz now, knowing that he's probably not done for the season? The other guys are still rookies. They could get injured. They could struggle. And Mizorowski comes back and is absolutely dominant in his first 2 starts back. That price point certainly be nowhere near where you're seeing it 15-1. So if we keep it in the baseball terminology and say, all right, well, how about MVP itself, not Rookie of the Year? That's the Aaron Judge news that we're talking about. Don't you remember 2 weeks ago? Oh, no, doom and gloom. Aaron Judge going to miss. Cal Raleigh's going to be unbelievable. Cal Raleigh's going to have 5 home runs since Judge has been on the IL. Well, Cal Raleigh, I think, is like one of like 15 with like 12 strikeouts in his last 15 at-bats. And look now with Aaron Judge as the minus 210 favorite when just last week, Joe, you could have got him at plus money. He's looking to come back as early as tomorrow and looks like he's just as healthy as he was before we had those elbow issues, and you can get that value. So you are talking about Big Miz here to 15-1 price where you might look at September and understand this too. Playing in the heat of a pennant race, he wins big games down the stretch. You know voters love that. Forget about the numbers. You know voters love those high leverage situations.
And it gives the Brewers an opportunity to give this kid Logan Henderson a few more innings as well. And what a problem to have, right? To have 2 rookie pitchers who throw upper 90s, who can absolutely dominate hitters. And one goes on the AL for a couple of weeks, which, by the way, may not be the worst thing, Donnie, given the fact that he's already thrown 96 innings this year. That's just one less than what he has thrown last year in his career. So he's kind of in uncharted territory as it is with the amount of innings that he has pitched. So they are going to be extremely cautious with him until I think we get to the point where it's go time, which would be probably closer mid-September, and get him ramped up for the postseason. But in the meantime, Logan Henderson can slot right in there and they don't miss a beat.
I'm telling you, it's Team Yelich here, where it's like you got a bunch of guys, but they're playing such good baseball. The bats are absolutely awake. You just hope that those bats, Joe, don't peak right now, the month of August, when you really need them at the end of September into October. But it's not a fun team to bet, but it's a damn good team to bet on, if you catch my drift there. And by the way, quickly, the American League Rookie of the Year, Nick Kurtz out here at a minus 7,000 price. Like, this guy's now getting love in the AL MVP race. How good a rookie is that? And we're not even talking about a kid that was around in like late March or early April. This is a late season addition who's absolutely on fire, Joe.
Yeah, and he plays in Sacramento, which most people, most people ran over Nick Kurtz in a row. They'd have no idea who he is. They probably wouldn't even stop. But this is now a kid who is minus 7,000 across the board here. It's kind of crazy, Donnie.
No, it is. And then these markets certainly going to change on a day-to-day basis. But Joe's right about this one thing. We're talking about that National League Rookie of the Year. Don't give up on Big Miz at 15-1. He's 3 starts away from being minus 200 once again in that market. But Drake Baldwin for the Atlanta Braves right now, their rookie sensation, he's getting a lot of that top billing here. Let's go around the Major League Baseball headlines over the weekend. Get you caught up on a Monday morning right here on the Grid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies is one of 3 Major League Baseball pitchers to have a 7-start span featuring an undefeated record, a sub-1.5 ERA, 50 or more innings pitched, 50 or more strikeouts, fewer than 5 walks, no more than 1 home run allowed.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Joe and Erie, Donnie right side here, having some fun on a Monday morning, getting the people caught up on that Major League Baseball action over the weekend. We spent a lot of time this morning talking about the Big Miz. Why are we doing that? Because the Milwaukee Brewers are a first-place baseball team. You take a look at the standings right now, 67 victories, 2 games up in the NL Central right now, won 3 games in a row, winners of 7 of their last 10. But how about this weekend, Joe? We talk about the Brewers. Oh, maybe they can win 3-2, 2-1. No, 56 hits, 38 runs over the weekend. Whoa, the bats were brewing here, huh?
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, their stud outfielder, Jackson Chourio, also on the IL with a hamstring. Sal Frelick, another one of the great bats here that they have. He's got a knee injury, so they don't even have their full complement of guys, and they're doing these kinds of numbers. So impressive, to say the least, from a team where most people can't name 3 hitters in that lineup, but boy, oh boy, are they delivering.
And also, I thought this next game would stay under. And also, what happened to the New York Yankees this weekend? Got beat again by the Marlins. They got swept by the Marlins. They lose 7-3 yesterday. I thought this game would have been a stone-cold under, too. Cabrera, who's been very good, he was sensational yesterday. But the Yankees started Luis Gil, 3 1/3 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. He was supposed to be that shot in the arm back in the starting lineup here for the Yankees. Like, hey, we didn't make a trade line acquisition that really can help us because why? We think our better pitchers are coming back, which includes Luis Gil. I know it's his first start back, but 4 walks, only 3 Ks, 5 earned runs, 3 1/3 in an unbelievable pitcher's ballpark here. Are we starting to panic here with the Yankees, who were once in first place, dropped to second, now back to third place in their own division?
I just, they're infuriating. Can't watch. I mean, fundamentally and above the shoulders, this is just one of the worst teams that I can remember. You know it's bad, Donnie, when you've got A-Rod and Jeter in front of cameras and TV and microphones and absolutely blasting the Yankees for how unbelievably ridiculous it is that we've got guys that are running around making a third out because they have no idea how many outs are actually in the inning right now. You've got guys getting picked off and doubled off on first base on an infield fly ball. It's just and this isn't one-time situations. You got a shortstop who's leading the league in errors. Most of them are mental. These are mental errors we're talking about. Very hard to back a team that can't figure this thing out by this point in the season. Where's the leadership and the personal responsibility, Donnie? We could all point to Boone all we want, but where is the personal responsibility here with these players who are making millions of dollars?
That's a shame of it. You're past the trade deadline. The players can't go anywhere at this point. So probably is going to fall on Boone as the manager that he would be out. Now, also, you're right about this. Boone gets fired. All right, now I'm going to start hitting. Boone gets fired. All right, no more errors at shortstop. Boone gets fired. I'm not going to stand on second base and then just walk off of second base for no apparent reason and get tagged out at this point. That doesn't change when the manager changes, but we all know this. The optics are get rid of the manager, get that bump. Maybe it was the manager's fault. Stop the man this year. Luis Gil's pissed off that Boone was his manager, so just decided to come back and be terrible because he wants Boone gone. It's not the way Major League Baseball works, but I'll tell you how it does work. Win baseball games on the field, move up in the standings. How about those Boston Red Sox sweeping the Houston Astros? You got to go up against Framber Valdez, and you hammer him. 6 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, and Lucas Giolito, 8 innings pitched, 1 earned run. Look at those Boston Red Sox on a day-to-day basis, Joe. They are bettable.
Yep, and got away with beating Hunter Brown in extra innings in the first game. So you beat their best 2 pitchers 2 out of 3 in 2 out of 3 games. That's pretty darn impressive, Donnie. What's going on there?
I'll tell you what's more impressive here. Everybody agrees with here. Nobody's going to disagree that the Philadelphia Phillies are the best team in Major League Baseball now that they have Duran as their closer. 2-0 victory yesterday in a rubber match. You got some really good pitching performances this weekend. Unbelievable defense yesterday by both teams. A fun series in Philadelphia that a Kyle Schwarber home run padding the stats late in that game. And by the way, Did you see Kyle Schwarber moving up that list for the NL MVP? Fun night in Philadelphia last week, and away we go into August.
You had an 85-year-old pitching for Detroit, and you barely scored a run.
Yeah,
and we're celebrating. Like, what is going?
Yeah, we
Charlie Morton made you look ridiculous last night. But congratulations on the win there. But good old 41-year-old Charlie Morton may still have a little something left in the tank here, Donnie.
By the way, I love all team total. And I was close to plus out. The Phillies definitely going to get 2.5 runs on Detroit yesterday. Yeah. And even the telecast, Joe, if you watch it last night, Morton had like 5 or 6 strikeouts in a row, and they were just blown away by this. Like, Charlie Morton, another strikeout. So you know how bad it was for the Phillies at bats at the plate, but also understand this. I'm scared of September, late September. I'm scared of October as a Phillies fan. Don't give me the 1 runs. Don't give me the 2 runs. I can't take it. My heart can't take it. But hour number 2, we can take that. Coming up next.